Conflict on the border between Cambodia and Thailand has now entered a fourth day, with the death toll rising on both sides. 10 civilians have been killed in Cambodia. Meanwhile, in Thailand, 9 soldiers and 3 civilians have been confirmed dead. Thailand says that its army and air force have carried out strikes on Cambodian military positions. More than 500,000 people have now fled the border region. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump says he will speak to both sides on Thursday. Well, we have reports from correspondents on both sides of the border. In a moment, we'll hear from Rob McBride, who's in Surin province in Thailand. First, this report from Barnaby, who's in an evacuation camp in Preah Vihear in Cambodia.
More than 5,600 people have fled to this evacuation camp in Cambodia's Preah Vihear province along the border with Thailand, which is an indication that fighting has not eased between Thai and Cambodian forces. And as you can see, aid is being distributed here, the names of evacuees being called one after another. Now, over on this side, there is this building that houses restrooms, proper facilities that we did not see in other temporary camps just like this in other border areas in Cambodia. And one reason for that is because there is a pagoda here. But just the same, people are living under makeshift tents, which is far from ideal, and slightly better living conditions don't mean that people here, especially children, are not traumatized.
It's impacting our mental health. We cannot make a living, so we are not eating enough.
My children can't study properly because the environment here isn't conducive. It's also affecting their health.
Now, evacuees here say they want to be able to go back home as soon as possible, especially because this isn't the first time they've been displaced by armed conflict this year. And so they're hoping and praying that international mediation efforts will bring an end to the fighting. US President Donald Trump says he is scheduled to make phone calls to the leaders of Cambodia and Thailand on Thursday. Trump, of course, was instrumental in the ceasefire agreement in July, but back then he used tariffs as leverage. Now, Thailand is saying that it won't allow the use of tariffs as a negotiating tool, but both governments are saying they're now open to dialogue, even as they vowed to keep fighting, or in their words, to keep defending their sovereignty. Barnaby, Al Jazeera, Preah Vihear province, Cambodia.
This fighting has been taking place around these temple sites, which is about 25 kilometers further along the border from we are. It's on the border between these two Thai provinces of Buriram and Surin. That's where that's been taking place. But to be honest, all the way along this province and a lot of the provinces that are bordering with Cambodia, there has been various fighting of various degrees. Here in Buriram, there's been pretty intense fighting. The border with Cambodia is just a few kilometers behind me. And we've been on a facility with the military here, taking us to see some of the damage that's being caused in this particular area. And what they've been listening up all the way around this area, you can hear the constant thud of artillery as they have exchanges between the two sides. There's the louder bangs of outgoing artillery, but what the military that we're with have been listening for is the lower, more distant, a constant rumble of the thuds of artillery, which seem to indicate rockets being fired from the Cambodian side. That's what people here are largely concerned about. In fact, while we were out with them, we got caught in something of an artillery duel between the two sides. There was a lot of running around, including ourselves. And then in driving away from that area, quickly we were stopped again and we had to get out of the vehicles, hiding under trees from drones, because increasingly that is something that all sides are concerned about, the use of surveillance drones and also attack drones by either side. But this fighting continues apace all along this border area. We're told in this particular area it was more intense, but there doesn't seem to be much let up in the fighting pretty much anywhere along the border at the moment.
We're joined now by Pou Sothirak, a senior distinguished advisor to the Cambodian Center for Regional Studies, a foreign policy think tank. He joins us from Bangkok. Thank you for your time, sir. You've described the latest clashes as very alarming. What makes this outbreak of violence different from previous ones?
Well, the latest rounds of severe clashes, armed clashes between Cambodia and Thailand derive from the positions that taken by Thailand mainly to halt the ceasefire agreement on the one hand, and to also halt the peace accord that has been brokered by ASEAN chair and United States of America President Trump. And the problem has remained the same, the dispute between Thailand and Cambodia over the border, but they were supposed to go through the peace process, but instead there is this incident that is now going from bad to worse as we speak.
As you say, we did have that US brokered truce that was signed back in October, and now we have the fighting resume not too long after. Do you think the ceasefire was weakened from the start because it was agreed under outside pressure?
I don't think it's because of weakness from the outside pressure, in my own opinion. There is a dynamic on the ground that the peace process and the ceasefire agreement is in the process, is in reconciling. In other words, they're trying to, ASEAN have already put in place the ASEAN observer team. They are very aware of what situations on the ground, you know. And then there are the peace accord also spell out quite precisely all the fundamental steps that both sides are supposed to do, and they're supposed to engage in a discussion to try to implement that. However, there is some unfortunate situation, and as you may know, if and when the military is stationed at the border, chances are the clash can happen, and they claim that the other side shoot first. So to me, irrespective of who's shooting first at the moment, they must stop. Shooting must not start to start with, but if they start now, they should stop and return back to the talking table to negotiate what their differences is all about, and using existing mechanism. ASEAN have already sent ASEAN observer team to be at their disposal. President Trump himself have been very clear and very supportive to negotiation between the two sides to stop and to try to return the normal situation back.
So just to be clear, do you think there is a role here for the United States to continue negotiating, or does he just leave this now to regional groups like ASEAN?
I'm sorry, the last part, I did not hear you properly.
Is there still now a role for the United States when it comes to mediation, or should that mediation be left to regional groups like ASEAN?
No, there's still, I think, from what I read from a statement from the State Department, U.S. State Department, the American is very concerned. And as I notice it, not only American, friend to both Cambodia and Thailand is very concerned, including ASEAN is very concerned. And therefore, I don't think President Trump's effort is not is tossed away. I don't think that is the case yet. I think they try. I heard that President Trump is trying to make time to give his call again. Earlier on, I mentioned that if President Trump call again, there might be a very strong impetus for both sides to agree to go back to refrain from using force to shoot at each other and go back to talking. So the sooner President Trump call, the better, in my opinion.
All right.
And ASEAN is ready to mediate.
Thanks so much for your perspective today. Pou Sothirak, Senior Distinguished Advisor to the Cambodian Center for Regional Studies.
Thank you very much.
Don't miss out, get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.